good. Oh crap, the door, That works. Let's catch our monster. What the flark is that?
Guardians of the Galaxy was a game I brushed off since its release in 2021. I'm not entirely sure why that was exactly. I am a fan of the Guardians, but every time I looked at the gameplay, something turned me away from it. It wasn't due to Square Enix being behind it all as well as the Avengers title. I didn't hate the Avengers, so I assumed I wouldn't hate the Guardians. If I only gave it a chance, and so I have. Since I finished watching Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I decided to download this game and just give it a shot. It's been almost 2 years since its release. 2 years, and I finally gave it a shot. I must say, I feel almost the exact same about Guardians as I did with the Avengers, but maybe a little bit worse. I wanted to like this game, I really did. A part of me does like it, but there's also a part of me that hates it. I'm gonna go ahead and review this game before I spill all the beans. In my reviews, be warned, they are spoiler heavy as I break down the story and the gameplay before my final thoughts. Before I get started, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on any videos like this in the future. The story of the Guardians of the Galaxy is strong and where it shines the most. You find yourself as Peter Quill controlling the rest of the Guardians on an action-packed adventure to save, well, the galaxy. Granted, it was kind of the Guardians' fault for the galaxy being almost taken over and destroyed, but I'm sure it would have happened eventually without them. I was really shocked to see the Soul Stone play such a vital role in how the galaxy could be ruined and saved, as it basically possessed a godlike entity called Magus, the corrupted dark side of Adam Warlock's personality. The entity being released and taking over to feed into the false realities was a real cool and frightening concept for the game, and it kept me invested. One of my greatest fears are religious cults. The Grand Unifier Riker and his Universal Church of Truth played a large threat to the galaxy. When I first saw Riker in Ko-Rel's little computer, I figured he was just going to be a little side boss we'd encounter, but no. He's the reason the whole threat happens. His motives are heartfelt though, and I truly felt sorry for him as a character. But that's no excuse to trick everyone into living false truth as the entity devours the galaxy. Shame on you, Riker, and for that, you lose a golden arm. As much as I enjoyed the story, I felt some parts were hit and miss. I believe it had something to do with the pacing and how scattered the mission layouts were. I feel the Guardians went to too many different areas, and it felt congested and a little boring when it should have been the opposite. I didn't really get any time to enjoy anything because it'd be on to the next as soon as I tried. One thing I had no trouble figuring out was the theme for this game. It would definitely be about loss and how to accept the loss of the ones we care about the most. Magus played with everyone in the galaxy and fed them a false reality with the losses they had. Peter had the loss of his mother, Drax had the loss of his family. It was up to you in the galaxy to choose to either let our loved ones go or stay in this dark loop.
Hey, whatever happens, you're not alone, okay?
Thank you. But there is something I do have to do alone.
I found that gripping and powerful. Let's talk about its downfall, and that was the gameplay. I heard some people say they really enjoyed the gameplay of this game, but I was sadly not one of them. It felt really sluggish and uninspired to me. The Avengers felt similar, but a little better in my opinion. You are the leader of the Guardians, and the big gimmick of this game was trying to make you feel like a true leader in the game. Sadly, it just does not work. They wanted so much focus on being a leader and to control a team, they even made a special ability where you talk to the team and try to hype them up to fight stronger. And it was awful. I hated it so much I hardly ever used the special unless I really had no choice. It took too long to actually activate, and it didn't matter what option you chose, it still activates the ability, and it was just lame. I'm honestly glad I completed the game so I don't have to see that awful mechanic again. I will say I liked being able to use different abilities for the characters at least. It was a shame we couldn't actually play as the other Guardians, but at least we had their abilities to help us get through the waves of enemies. Speaking of waves of enemies, let's talk about the fighting. The third-person shooting wasn't really a drawback. I was fine with the overall gameplay of that, but the enemies felt so spongy, and it felt like a lifetime before some of these enemies were defeated. Another drawback was how the fighting felt so wave-like. It felt like I was in a Call of Duty Zombies game or something. You'd get a wave of enemies, and once you killed them all, a little XP bar would pop up and you'd level up for abilities. Once you walked around a little bit, you'd run into more and do the same thing. It felt weird and it pulled me back from the story. Another big negative that I feel shouldn't even be a thing anymore, but I hate it when a character automatically appears in a location without actually moving to the spot. It might be a pet peeve, but it feels lazy to me. Gaming these days, I mean, we have reached a level of gaming where people want that realism, and to see a character not anywhere near an objective and then them just blink over there because you told them to pick something up just feels lazy. Especially in a story-driven game, like this is where you want to feel the realism with the characters. This doesn't look real, does it?
We can't count on there being gravity for long!
Watching tracks!
I didn't think so. Let's finish this off with some final thoughts before I spiral down a pit of rage over lazy gameplay mechanics and unpolish. Guardians of the Galaxy is an unpolished game that delivers a well-executed story, but it's an unsatisfying journey to get the said story. Each Guardian felt unique to themselves, and the only problems I had with the characters was how much they said flarking. It got on my flarking nerves a little bit. We had some interesting boss fights to say the least, but we were surrounded by uninspired lackeys. We literally fought cubes of jello, and not just a little. I fought a lot of jello in this game. As fun as the story was, the gameplay just didn't work for me, and I hate that. I grade Guardians of the Galaxy a C-. For what it tries to accomplish in story and character development, it funnels down a dark pit of shame with a word I've said I'm sure more than a couple times. Flarking uninspiring. Did you all play Guardians of the Galaxy? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know down in the comments below, and as I've said before, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any videos like this in the future. And until next flarking time, take it flarking easy, bubs.